One day I was at the Aquarium of the Pacific and I wanted to get the story behind the story. What was happening after the lights went out and all the guests went home? What were the stories that the workers there would talk about? One story that a particular worker told me about was what they called the case of the missing fish. They have expensive and exotic fish from around the world, and every day they would come in for a season and find that some of them were missing. They knew it must be some kind of thief, so they set up a camera here, a camera there, a camera everywhere, and so they went home. They came, they reviewed the footage, and what they found was that there was an octopus that was climbing out of its tank across the floor into another tank, eating fish, and then going all the way back so nobody would be the wiser when people would come back to work the next morning. It was one of the first experiences I had that helped me realize how amazing a creature an octopus can be. I've been diving many times in the ocean, and what I would say if I were living there would be that the ocean is a dangerous place. Sharks can be thousands of pounds, and many creatures have teeth, or they have poisonous barbs, or they have giant claws. All kinds of things make them dangerous. How could a creature that's a good edible size, that has almost no bones, still be alive today? That's the question we'll try to answer. Our answer is that octopuses are alive today because they are masters of disguise. What we'll do in order to understand this is we will look at what it actually does when it disguises itself, and then we're going to talk about how it goes about doing that. So the most famous color shifting animal is the chameleon. A chameleon can become pink or blue or green, any kind of color that it sees. I don't know why it's the famous one. The octopus can do that very same thing, but it actually does it instantaneously. Not only does it change its color, but it can change its texture. So if it sees a moss-covered rock, or if it sees a piece of coral, it can actually try to look like those things. There's actually a type of creature so good at disguise that we weren't able to find it until the 1990s. It was a mimic octopus. The mimic octopus doesn't just imitate plants or rocks, it imitates other creatures. There's a group of scientists, Henlin, Watson, and Barbosa, and what their research does is it analyzes the mimic octopus, and the way that they would hide themselves imitating is something else. So inside of their research, what they did is they looked at creatures that it tried to be and would deceive other creatures by being. What they found is that not only would it do something to change its form, it could also change its swimming posture, its swimming behavior, and then that's in addition to the color and texture changes that we already discussed. If you look at my pictures here, what you'll see is a mimic octopus imitating a sea snake and then imitating a lionfish. And it can actually, if you look on YouTube, you would see about a dozen creatures that this thing can imitate. So what I mean when I say that it will imitate swimming postures is what you see visible here. It'll swim in the same kind of form that the creature would swim in. Not only is it taking the same shape as the creature, but it would move in the same kind of way that the creature would move. It takes also the same swimming behavior. So we used to have a saltwater fish tank, and you would see these fish that would kind of dart and they would stop, and then they would dart and then they would stop. And so if a mimic octopus is pretending to be one of them, it would actually swim with that behavior, darting and stopping, darting and stopping. It can do that for all the creatures that it tries to be. One of the most interesting ones is a flounder, because a flounder lays flat and then both eyes are on one side, and it goes across the bottom of the ocean and it will like kind of float. You know, it's almost invisible because it's so close to the ground. It can do that very thing, get those colors right. It is a master of disguise. Octopuses can do crazy things. But we get to know its brilliance, not just when we see what it does, but actually when we see how it does it. And there are a couple processes that make that possible that I find amazing. One of those is that it actually has seeing skin. If there was a giant crab on this side of an octopus and there was a coral reef on this side of the octopus, and the octopus's goal was to look like that coral reef, It can only see one thing at a time. It sees a crab and it knows, I gotta do something. Well, actually, what can happen is the octopus's skin can look at that reef and say, this is the general shape, and start to form shapes and colors inside of it before the octopus can actually turn his head. It's part of the skill that makes him instantaneously able to change. The other thing that helps that happen is that the brain can only focus on so many things. My brain flips out when it tries to focus on a lot of things at the same time. But something that's going on in the octopus is that 65% of its neural activity actually occurs outside of its brain. What that means is that one arm can make one decision, I'm eating, and another arm can make another decision, I'm swimming, and they can work either together or independently in order to benefit that octopus. This is very helpful in quick change and quick adjustment procedures. What's significant about that we've seen, or like the way that we've proven that, is there are some scientists, Hochner, Shamrat, and Fiorito, and what they did is they removed, if you can see in my picture here, 2 of the 4 sections of an octopus's brain. So the MSF region and then the VL region. So that's a whole lobe of the octopus's brain. They were gone. Now, they would find that there were issues teaching the octopus new things with half of its brain missing, if you can imagine that. However, daily activities went uninterrupted. The octopus was still able to swim, it was still able to find food, it was still able to hunt, and it was still able to identify its home. The only thing that changed was long-term memory. Those neurosynapses are still occurring because they're occurring in the arms. The arms are making decisions, and there's neural activity going on outside of the brain. It's amazing how all these parts come together. What we've done is we've talked about what an octopus can do, how it camouflages, and then we talk about what are the processes, what are the special abilities that an octopus has that enable it to do those things. I'll summarize those and we'll close. The octopus is an amazing creature and master of disguise. Not only can it recolor immediately, it can change texture. Some even can impersonate other creatures with a striking accuracy. There are complex systems which enable such trickery. Namely, their skin is able to see light and dark, and then their arms are able to make decisions. The next time that you visit an aquarium or you swim in the ocean and you see one of these creatures, take a moment to appreciate how amazing it really is.